What's up, y'all? It's your boy KevOnStage with my wife, the lovely and luxurious Miss KevOnStage. Our kids will be away for the summer, so we are taking this on the road, so to speak. If you're interested in booking us to come to your church event, community center, to do relationship stuff, speak, serve on panels, we're interested. You can give us, request us, KevOnStage at Gmail or KevOnStage.com/booking. And we'll see where it goes. June and July. That's all.
That's all.
That's all.
The other one will come out second.
Yes, June and July. That's all. That's all, folks. All right, today we're talking about life transitions.
Hold on. And then I wanted to say, going back to the For Women Only, that I've been getting a lot of great feedback. Even still, some lady tagged me today about her. She called it her Get Pretty campaign, which I absolutely love. Tag me, actually, if you're doing your own campaign, tag me, whatever you decided to call it. I just want to see it. I love that kind of stuff. But also I wanted to say it got really positive feedback. Some people are trying to make it a spinoff, which I don't really know about the whole spinoff thing. But if you do want me to do another episode doing the For Women Only, feel free to send emails to KevOnStage@gmail.com and with topics or whatever you want me to talk about, and maybe I'll do another one.
Maybe she'll do another one. Maybe she'll do her own podcast. Maybe she'll go out and speak to women. Maybe she'll do women's conferences and go international. God's got a calling over your life. You can run, Jonah. But that big whale gonna find you and gobble you up.
It was a big fish.
A big fish is a whale. It wasn't a catfish.
It was a catfish. You keep making me lose my train of thought. You've been doing that all day. Yeah, so there's that.
All right. Now we're going to talk about today's topic, which is dealing with life's transitions. When life gives you lemonade.
Make lemonade. Which, by the way, I have a bomb homemade lemonade recipe. It is so good.
All right, so you're going to kick it off talking about your parents.
Oh, yes. Okay, so we got this question.
Yes.
Actually, from a young lady, and her parents are going through the divorce. I don't even remember exactly what the question is, but I think her parents are going through a divorce and it's affecting her, and she just kind of wanted to hear about how I went through that. So I'll just I wrote a blog. If you haven't read it, check it out. It's on my friend's website, theoptimisticdivorcees.com. And I was featured on their blog. And got pretty good feedback, so check it out if you haven't. It kind of details what I'm going to say right now, which is that my parents divorced about, 8 years ago?
Yep.
Ish. And that's a whole other story. And they were married for 25 years. I grew up in the church my whole life. My mom was a minister in the church. My dad served in the church. And so when they got divorced, I grew up in a Christian household. Divorce was not an option. And then my parents got divorced after 25 years. And so it rocked me. I always say this, but it rocked me to my core. Like my very being, I felt like, was like shaken. My foundation of who I was shaken. By that time, Kevin and I had been married for 2 or 3 years. Yeah. Isaiah was pregnant. Isaiah was pregnant. I was pregnant with Isaiah. And so, yeah, we're probably married about 2 or 3 years by that time. So I was growing out the house. And it still, affected me. It impacted me quite a bit to the point where I felt like I started questioning love. I started questioning marriage. I started questioning, my relationship with Kevin, my marriage.
Fidelity.
A lot of things. Everything. Absolutely everything was called into question because I felt like, I grew up in this perfect little bubble in a 2-parent household with me and my sisters, and we were all in the church. My parents were going to make it to happily ever after, and then they didn't. And it was like my fairy tale world popped, and I was exposed to reality, and I had to deal with that. And so it made me question a lot of things, and it was hard. It was very difficult. It took a couple years at least, for me to fully accept and fully transition and understand what was happening, or accept is probably the better word, to fully accept what was happening. And I guess her specific question was, how did I get through it? And honestly, I recall going through because I wore it. I felt like it was always on me. It was very heavy. Do you think that?
Yes. Absolutely.
And we were at church, and my pastor was preaching about, I can't think of her name right now. I can't think of her name, but anyway, he was telling me to like come up out of it. If I recall the scripture,
Tabitha?
That's exactly who came to my mind. That's exactly who came to my mind.
I remember the message.
You do? And that's what he was telling me, to come up.
Girl, get up.
Get up. And I know, that's funny. I was like, I think it was Tabitha, but I hate being wrong, so I'd rather not say it out loud.
And I'll be
wrong.
Loud and wrong.
Yeah, he will.
And sometimes right.
And most of the time I know, but if I'm not 100% sure, I'd rather not say it out loud. But it absolutely was Tabitha. And that was a turning point for me. If you're going through something like that, I recommend reading that story. But he was telling me to get up, and to get out. And I feel like, while I may have come back a little bit, I don't even know that I really did come. I feel like that was a turning point for me.
Yeah.
And I was able to really, like, what I had to understand, and it has freed me so much even to this very day, is that their relationship is not my relationship. Mm. Their headache is not my headache. Their issues is not my issues. And while stuff still comes up, like, still, I still have to recognize I have a family to uphold, to maintain. I have a life I have to maintain. And I can't own that and let it affect what I have going on in, 7558. Like, which is my address, ... I just can't.
Please don't come rob us.
I know. I just can't allow that to weigh so heavily on me that it affects what I have going on. And not to say that it didn't have an impact on me, because like I said, it shaped me. Like, as soon as I recognized my parents were getting a divorce, and that's what happened, like, everything about me changed. Everything, I would say, about me changed. You agree? They're going to get on you because you keep yawning like you're tired.
I am tired, but that's nothing to do with what you're saying. I'm just tired because I've been up all day and had to shoot something and edit and video and podcasted it and did it both.
And so, yeah, it was definitely difficult. It was definitely hard. It was definitely a life transition it was a defining life transition for me. And it was a turning point. Kevin has notes here. So, yeah, I became more jealous. You can't really be a jealous person with Kevin because of, like, just the lifestyle that we live in, that he's a public, a semi-public figure.
And he's dashing.
And he's so dashing. Did you let the people see you? And so, You know what happened, though?
Timing was bad.
Why?
So that situation that happened that we talked about a couple times ago where I was texting that girl.
Oh, right.
That happened after or not after, but at the same time your parents were separating and divorcing.
Yeah.
That situation happened where I was having inappropriate text conversations, and that probably
ignited.
It ignited, and at the same time I was doing that under the old Melissa. Mm-hmm. Like, this probably won't bother Melissa and all that stuff, and there's no, like, but you had become, like, almost overnight super. It wasn't. I don't really. I hesitate to say jealous. You weren't even. It wasn't even jealous as much as it was like you almost. It was a foregone conclusion for you for a while.
I would disagree with that.
No,
I think it was jealousy.
Well, it was jealousy, but you were more like, if this happened to my mom. Mm-hmm. If my parents could be unfaithful to each other, and Kevin's out here doing comedy, like, it's just a matter of time.
No, but I wouldn't say it in those words.
Okay.
What I would say is that it wasn't a thought in my mind before. I was just so, like, openly trustworthy. I don't know, or blindly is probably the word. I was so blindly trustworthy. Yeah. And then this happened, and it was like, whoa. I kind of need to monitor what's going on.
Yeah.
And I have to temper how much I'm trusting, because anybody can be exposed to this. Anybody can fall at any time. I mean, it happened to my parents. I never would have thought, and here we are. Yeah. So if it happened to them, it could happen. And so you just have to open your eyes, Melissa. Be more aware, Melissa. Recognize what's going on,
Yeah.
And that's more. It wasn't just like I assumed. It was just I had become more sensitive to the fact that it could happen at any, like you could cheat, someone could come, like I would just be in a more of a position. People know he's married. He knows he's married to me. So why would they even try anything? And then it's like, hold on, there's heifers out here, and they try stuff. So
let a heifer try me.
Yeah.
Try me.
I had to open up my eyeballs.
Yeah, I think you became jealous, you questioned everything, and you thought it can happen to me.
Absolutely.
All at the same time. And in that way, your parents' divorce affected me.
Right. Because,
when you get married to somebody, this is one of the tips in our book we'll talk about later. You can't marry somebody expecting them to stay the same, and you can't marry somebody expecting them to change, and you can't marry somebody expecting them to stay the same. And what I mean by the change is like if I don't know, if I have a bad habit or something like that, you'd be like, okay, if I get married, he's gonna stop doing that, and you can't assume that. And then you also can't assume that this person that is it's gonna be the opposite. The one thing you want them to change, they'll do the same, and they won't change. And the thing I would have never expected this to happen with your parents, and then beneath that, I would have expected that happening to your parents to affect you in a certain way.
Right.
And it affected your sisters also, but I don't think they were married at the time.
No.
So I don't think their husband no, they weren't married at the time. So
I guess Nick may have been.
She wasn't.
She got married shortly thereafter us, and they stayed married longer than.
They weren't.
I'm sure they were actually.
They were not. And they got married the same year we did.
Exactly my point.
And they were divorced within a year.
No, they weren't officially divorced.
Oh, but they didn't live together and all that stuff. They had nothing to do.
Well, that was what I was trying to say.
Technically, they weren't divorced.
Well, technically, they were married.
You know what I'm saying. But anyway, so your parents' divorce, I just never thought it would change you a certain way. Like, I feel like maybe I could have compartmentalized it, but I don't now. My parents had a rocky situation for a month, and then I was like, okay, I totally understand. Because when you're older, you feel like, we were in our mid-20s, or 23 or 25, 23 or 4. You think, like, I'm cool.
Yeah. And
you're not realizing, like, your base changing really has an effect. Kieran was texting today. He was like, man, I'm back home in Houston. He had, like, all these family members and stuff. And I was like, we don't have that.
Yeah.
Like, when you're military, you don't have that. People grow up in Springfield and they go back and everybody knows them in Springfield.
Yeah.
We don't even have a home like that. But in addition to, like, our parents moved, my parents moved, and your parents moved. But then your parents' whole relationship changed and a piece of you changed, like, along with that. So how did you, like, outside of the church, outside of that one message pastor spoke, what did you do, like, practically to distance yourself from...
I didn't do anything until that moment. Like, I felt like I was so... Like, if I can go back in time... Okay, so this would be my, like, piece of advice to anyone going through any type of transition, especially if it has to do with your parents and you feel like it is affecting your relationship in your home life, is don't own it.
Right.
Don't own it. And that's what I felt like I did. I felt like I owned their situation. And that's what made, like, and it will affect you, obviously, because they're your parents or whoever. But don't own their problem as your own. And that's what I feel like I messed up. Like, for a long time, I was wallowing in their divorce. And it's like, that's still my mom, that's still my dad. They're no longer together.
Right.
But my relationship with them doesn't necessarily have to change. And it was like my whole world was turned upside down. And it should not have been, it should have affected me, but maybe not as long as it did, because I was so badly, like, owning their relationship and their issues and their problem and their divorce and just everything, and I shouldn't have done that.
Do you think that's more of a reflection of your personality or just divorce?
It could be a reflection of my personality, but I feel like my sisters did too.
Yeah.
And we're all three very different.
Yeah, that's true.
We're all very, very different. But I feel like we all, to a certain degree, we would get on the phone and talk about it, and, it was, I I thought I was losing. And I was pregnant, so my emotions. Actually, I just had Isaiah. Well, actually, I was pregnant, and then, of course, he was eventually born. And so your emotions are all out of whack, and it was just a lot.
Yeah, it was a tough time.
It was a lot. I mean, it was a lot to deal with. I feel like I couldn't sleep, and like my mind was going all the time, and you know the way we found out, and it was just it was a lot, and yeah. But now I feel like, well, like I said, stuff still happens. I don't feel like I own it as much as I used to. I'm able to live my life and go on with life, and I don't think about it on a daily basis. Like, it took a long time to be able to say, like, my parents are divorced. Like, to really, like, say that out loud in the midst of a conversation. Like, it took a long time for me to just feel comfortable uttering those words. And now I realize, you know, it's just a fact of life. People get divorced. It's just what happens. No, you don't want it. No, you don't like it. If I can go back and wish things were differently, of course I would wish things were differently. But the fact of the matter is, today is April 4th, Saturday, April 4th, 2015, and my parents are divorced. And it's okay.
Yeah.
I'm still living my life. I still...
And it doesn't affect your current... It doesn't affect your current... This is one thing that I used to tell you, and I don't know if this was right, but I felt confidently about it. I used to tell you that this is your primary family now.
Yeah.
Me, Zay, and JoJo. I used to tell you, you're so concerned about your mom and dad and your family that you're endangering your current family,
right? Which
is your primary focus. Did that have any effect on you?
No, or I don't know if it did. However,
absolutely not.
No.
But good shot.
No, I was gonna say. I mean, I don't know if it affected me, but it's absolutely great advice.
Right.
It's absolutely sound advice because I was so concerned with them. And they aren't here.
No.
They're not here. They're not with my boys. They're not with my husband. They're not here to make sure my bill... Like, they have no direct impact on what goes on in this house. So I can't get so caught up with what's going on over there. And I was so caught up with what was going on over there. So yeah, my primary concern, or my primary piece of advice when you're going through a transition like that in life is try not to own what's going. Don't wear their problem on their sleeve. Don't own their problem. Don't try to fix it. I literally was like, I gotta give this to God, because there was nothing, and I mean quite literally nothing I could do to change the situation. As much as I wanted to, there was nothing I can do to change it. So I had to learn to accept it and then move on.
Such is life.
Such is life. C'est la vie.
So do you feel confident that you have moved on?
I do feel confidently that I have moved on. I don't own that situation. I've accepted it. It's cool with me. But again, things still come up. Which makes things complicated. Yeah,
it's very difficult to navigate, especially if you have a close family. Mm-hmm. You have a very close family. I have a very close family. One thing that's going on in my life that's not divorce related, but I'm a mama's boy, and my mother and grandmother are very persuasive, and they wanted me to come to Albuquerque. We had a show there, and you already had a weekend birthday plan set aside, and my mom was like,
he totally shut out the water.
I did not. But anyway, my mom was like, I want you to come. Can't you just come the day before? And when it comes down to it, if you got your wife and your mom, you got to go with the wife. Your mom can be mad at you. She ain't giving up.
I actually appreciate that he's always done that, because it's not easy to do that.
Nah. Everybody don't be doing that.
And everybody don't be doing that.
But I've always looked at it, who is giving out the Hot Pocket is the one I don't want mad at me. My mom lives in Texas. She can be mad at me. She'll be all right by Thursday. But if you're going to be mad, I got a problem here. But I think that, outside of the sex part, as you grow, and the Bible says you leave your mother and father and cleave, you have to do that.
Yes.
And that means that your parents no longer are numero uno in your life. I remember early in our marriage, your mom used to have foster kids, and she wanted us to babysit one of them and have them spend the night. And I was like, nope, Like, this was like year one.
Yeah.
And your mom is super persuasive. And I was like, I'm sorry, Mom, can't do it. We will watch them. You can pick them up or we can drop them off, but they're not spending the night. And she was like, they are. And I was like, no, they're not. This is my house. I pay the rent. That baby ain't staying over here. She was like, fine. And I don't ask her for nothing. And blah, blah, blah. She got really mad about it. And he didn't spend the night. And then like a couple weeks later, she was like, you know what? I respect you for that. Because it is your house. And you do have to protect it. And that's what you have to do with, and you know, it's interesting, protect it. Because really, by allowing your parents' divorce to like weigh over you, you're not protecting your own home because you're alienating the people that you got to deal with every single day. So that was one life transition that we have. Do you feel confident that you got enough out of that? The next one that we wanted to talk about was when the man hated on your boy KevOnStage and they fired me from the bank.
They weren't hating though.
They were absolutely weren't. I was a terrible employee.
What did you tell me last night? Let's keep it 100.
Let's keep it 100. You just want to call me Sears one time.
You're a terrible employee.
I was dreadful. The problem was I was able to coast so well at the previous job.
Yes.
And in this job, during this market, the housing market, coasting wasn't going to get done. And actually working was not in my interest.
At all.
So anyway...
Kev was fired.
Kev was fired.
And then came to me and was like, so I don't really want to get another 9 to 5. I want to pursue comedy.
And tell them what you said.
What I said was, and you better agree, because this is real life truthful, is that I wanted you to be happy.
Yep. But you also said...
What?
For now, you have to get that young 9 to 5.
That's not true. We talked it. No, Kev, that's not true.
No, what happened? Here's what happened. Actually, what happened. I told you that I wanted to pursue my dream. And what you said... No. I'm about to give you your credit. So just let me say it.
Okay.
You said, I want you to be happy. But I feel like in order to make this dream a reality, we have to plan.
Yes, that is true.
In order to happen. And it's not you getting fired and then saying, I want to pursue comedy. Right. It's, okay, I want to pursue comedy as a full-time venture. How do we get there?
How do we set ourselves up to make that happen?
And part of that meant getting on unemployment for the time and looking for another job.
Hold on. Pause right there. This joker got fired and then was like, his pride kicked in and was like, I feel like I shouldn't have to get unemployment.
I'm a very confident person and a very proud person.
Really prideful.
Pride comes before the fall, so I don't want to accept that one. So going to the Labor Ready office with my 2 children.
Kev was having a hard time. I was like,
very difficult.
Give them a routing number and an account number and they could just deposit. Direct deposit.
It was very difficult for me. And Melissa was like, we are not young and childless. We got 2 kids.
And a mortgage.
And
bills that were per 2-parent working. This joker was like, I'll just make it full-time on comedy.
Mind you, I wasn't even doing comedy, like, even close to full-time at the time.
At all, or ever.
It was ludicrous of me, really. But don't tell me I don't believe in myself. Because I was convinced if I could just do this, that, and that. But nonetheless, because it really was silly of me, but I was really like, if you don't think I can do comedy, you don't believe in me. Like,
you never told me that.
I know, it's just thinking that.
Oh.
But at the same time, that was nullified very quickly because you were like reinforcing, I believe in your dream, I want to support your dream, but let's be practical about it. Mm-hmm. You easily could have said you are crazy and you're going to get this regular job and you got a family to feed. And comedy ain't paying the bills. And you would have been rightfully so.
I don't know why I didn't say that.
That would have crushed my spirit.
That was more like, that falls more in line with who I am.
Maybe God gave you
God gave us a grace.
He gave you a grace. Because if you would have said that, it would have crushed my spirit.
Yeah.
Because I was broken. I never had that, like, when I got kicked out of ROTC, I didn't care that much.
Yeah.
But getting fired with kids to feed and a mortgage to pay and no job prospects.
At all.
And the housing market suck. I was like,
God gave us a grace.
God gave us a grace. And that's why they say he that findeth a wife findeth a good thing.
Because
you simultaneously got me to do what you wanted me to do, which was get unemployment and then get a job. But at the same time, had me believe in myself that I could, that if we did X, Y, and Z, I could work for myself. And we ended up being able to do it.
Yes, we did. But here's the thing, ladies, because I think we have gotten a letter where a guy was trying. I think we did get a letter like that, and this is the best advice I can give, because sometimes I think as Christians we're naive, and then we're dumb.
Okay.
I'm gonna fix it. Because maybe I shouldn't say dumb, but really naive is like we think that walking out on faith means we don't have to plan, and I don't necessarily agree with that. I feel like part of the reason, people a lot of times they look at our story and they think it was just as simple as Kev getting fired and then, bang, bang, boom, 100,000 subscribers on YouTube, and he's able to work from home, and now he has his job with Russell Simmons. It didn't work that way. When we moved here, and going back to when Kevin was fired, what I told him was, listen, follow your dreams, boo-boo. But again, we got kids to feed and a mortgage. And my testimony, listen.
I used to say Tyler Perry was homeless.
Yeah. Tyler Perry was homeless, right? And I just feel like this is part of our story. No, sir. My testimony is not being homeless and living in a car. I'm sorry.
I was not trying to make us homeless, though.
No, but he was trying to prepare me for things could get really bad before they get really good.
Right.
And I was just like, not when you have a college degree. I just feel like not when you're an able working body and all you want to do is pursue a dream and you got bills. Like, I feel like in between time of you pursuing your dream, if you have to work double shift meaning a 9 to 5 and then pursue your dream, guess what, brother? That's what you're going to have to do until one takes over the other. And that's what he did. And what we also did is we recognized, okay, what's the number one thing that'll prevent you from pursuing your dreams full time? Money. Bills. Okay, so how do we make this make sense? And so what we had to do was pay off stuff so that the income that we were receiving wasn't more than what was going out.
Right.
And that's just wisdom, people. That's just wisdom. And then once you put yourself in a position that says, okay, God, I've done my part. Kev's just not going to walk off his job and make $500 and I got $1,000 worth of bills. Jesus, make a way. I got faith to believe. Jesus, make a way. No, people, that's foolishness, in my opinion. It's foolish. Get your bills down. Do right by yourself. Do right by your kids and your family to say, okay, we need a plan of action that says, in order for you to fulfill or chase your dreams full time, and for me to stand behind you chasing your dreams full time, we have to be put in a position to chase those dreams full time. And then once you're in that position, then you can step out in faith and say, God, okay, as long as this and this and this is paid, I know my household is taken care of, I can step out and say I'm ready to quit my job and I'm going to try to do this wholeheartedly and full time. Because then there's no animosity. You don't have to come home and your wife is stressed because the bills ain't paid. You ain't got food on the table. Your lights is getting cut off. That's foolish. In my humble opinion, that's foolish, people. And it's not faith. I think it is.
Faith without works. That's the works.
I think it's foolish. And I think that we say it's faith, and I think we have to put ourselves in a position to walk out on faith.
Right.
And did that make sense?
Yes.
Do you agree with me or you do not?
No, I agree with you.
I might get hate mail on that, and I'm okay with that. Because, people are going to say, no, you just got to walk out on faith. And I'm with that. And because we moved. Oh, okay, this is faith to me. I told you guys we had to pay off a bunch of stuff. Kev eventually got a job. After he did the comedy thing for like a year and a half, whatever the case is. And then we both got jobs at Boeing. And Isaiah got the job, or got the movie. Kev came back and was like, we're moving to California. At that time, we had paid off everything. We saved up some money. And then when we moved out here, we were able to do it on faith. And God opened doors for us, but we weren't hurting while we were here. California is brutal. To you and your dreams.
Man.
If you come out here and you don't have a plan and you don't have the financial ability to make it for a while, you'll be back at home. because it's brutal. It's expensive out here, and it's real life out here. It's very competitive. You're once amongst however many, so you have to put yourself. You have to be smart. You have to use wisdom. You have to put yourself in a position to say, "Okay, God, I want to move to where we want to move to California, and we got 2 kids." You still have to be responsible with, the lives of these other people that are depending on you. And that's how you're able, and that's how we were able to get into this position. Kev was able to work from home for a while when we first moved here. He wasn't, and we weren't making the same money. As a matter of fact, we weren't making the same amount of money we were making when we both worked at Boeing at all. And our rent was more expensive.
Double the mortgage.
Double. And I just honestly feel like it was grace. It was God, like literally, I feel like it was God's grace that allowed us to make it that far on Kev wasn't doing nothing. Let me fix my hair. Kev wasn't doing nothing but YouTube. And I just feel like it was God's grace that allowed us to make it that far. But it was because we didn't have a demand on our pocket of all these extra bills because we had paid everything off.
Right.
I hope that's making sense to me.
Well, the one thing that you said that you kind of glossed over is while I was working full-time at Boeing, I was also coming home and doing videos.
Yeah.
For Zay, JoJo, and my own channel for like a year. The whole time I was at Boeing, I built my
audience.
So that allowed me to be able to even not work when I got here. And the other thing is, this is something my dad taught me. And I don't know how we started talking about finances, but my dad has always taught me, and Melissa's parents is saying, live beneath your means.
Yeah.
So when I did get this job, I didn't go out and get nothing. No new car, no new...
You didn't get a new car?
No. I got the car before I got the job.
Oh, okay.
I got the car in March.
Okay.
And I didn't get that job until September. But no rims, no trips, no bigger place, none of that stuff. And you put the money away. Because just the other thing about this business and life, it can go away.
Right.
And when this goes away, or if this goes away, if whatever happens, I can be like, okay, I still got my other stuff. Or if you want to stop working, like that's the eventual goal.
Yeah.
But that meant when I got this job, I still do YouTube, doing the podcast, still do stand-up comedy. You still work to keep yourself in a position that, because what we tend to do as people is you get money, you go out and get a new car, you match your bills to whatever new money you made, credit cards or whatever. So you don't really make any new money.
Right.
You only really see the benefit when you keep your means low, or whatever. So
we start talking about money because it's the bills. That's the number one dream killer right there.
Man, listen.
That's the number one. So you have to be wise. You have to be smart about it, especially when you're considering chasing your dream. We're in a position, or not in a position, but we're doing something right now. Well, I don't know. I can tell the people. I like money stuff. I'm kind of a dork that way. So
we should do a whole financial episode.
We should. So we're doing a snowball is what it's called. And so I'm trying to pay off. I have like 3 bills that I want to pay off right now because eventually I want to get to a point where I don't have to work, and I really, at some point in my life, want to do like a women's conference similar to what we did for the women only thing at some point. But in order to do that, I recognize I have to put myself in a position to do that. So we're making sacrifices now where we're putting extra money. I paid off one thing, a year early or whatever. My next goal is to pay off my car. That'll be probably about a year early. And then you pay, so I'm making these plans to do this. So you sacrifice on a monthly basis where you don't have that extra money in your pocket, but I know I have a bigger goal of what I want to do. You have to, and then I can walk out on faith and say, okay, God, I've put myself in a position. Now God can meet me and say, you can walk into whatever he has for me to walk into. But I'll limit myself because I don't have the money. I don't have, you'll be stressed. Your kids will be stressed. Your husband will be stressed. Your marriage will be stressed. Like, what's the number one? Listen, the number one romance killer is money.
Yeah, because you ain't trying to smash when the lights are off.
It's just not
because
happening.
You can't turn them on, not because you're about to have sex. It's just like.
I really do think you have to. As a matter of fact, when I don't know if I'm gonna find it right now, but he died in a car the airplane. You drank all my water.
Sorry.
What's his name? Whole Family.
Miles Monroe?
Miles Monroe has a quote. And he talks about, and I was like, oh my God, I've been saying this for years. And he talks about faith is not mutually exclusive from planning. I think, or the quote is something along those lines.
That's good.
And that's pretty much I wish I could find the quote. I'm not going to find it. It's on my Facebook, and I reposted, and I was literally like, I've been saying this for years. Just because you have faith does not exclude you from planning.
Yeah, that is good.
And that's the point I'm trying to make here, that you can't just walk out on faith and expect God to meet you and you haven't done your part. Your
due diligence. So, we were talking about...
That's part of the transition.
Yeah. And that's, those are some of the transitions that we dealt with divorce and me losing my job and eventually getting my job. Do you want to talk about kids for a little bit?
What about it?
How that changes stuff?
Yeah, I mean... Obviously, they change things. You add another person, they're going to be pulling for your attention. They're going to be vying for your attention. It's no longer just the two of you. Kev just told me that, what did you just tell me? That you were jealous of the kids because I couldn't, he used to do plays and I used to stage manage the plays.
She was so good, man. She was so good. And then when JJ was born, it was all downhill. She was like, I got to stay home with this baby. And I was like, put that baby in the cage.
I'm not going to say what I want to say.
Here's one thing that you have to do. Because you'll have kids, and then your kids will leave. And what you can't afford to do is lose yourself in the time.
Lose yourself or the relationship?
Lose your relationship, not yourself. Or actually, you could probably do both. Lose yourself or your relationship. And the kids. That's one reason we're sending our kids away. And also to save on daycare money.
But... We read a quote talking about, man, I wish my memory was better.
No, we gotta have a doctor talk about that.
I need some ginkgo. You'll know what you invested in your marriage when your kids leave. So remember that quote we were talking about? So because as soon as the kids leave, if you're looking at a stranger, it's because you didn't invest in each other when the kids were in the house. And that's when divorces happen.
And it's very difficult for Melissa to let the kids go, even for one night.
It is very difficult.
And it's very
because
important.
I feel like an irresponsible parent. But I have to temper it because I like going out on dates with Kevin, but Kevin has to be tempered too. Because Kevin will try to have a babysitter every single weekend.
It ain't bad.
And
once a month you should not have your kids. At all.
So next week's episode you guys are gonna have a kick out of that whole episode probably, but we talked about Vegas and Chicago and they were back to back.
Yeah, but it's not like that all the time.
Yeah, but I just really, and the kids are in school, I just really feel like that's irresponsible.
But when are you going to be responsible to your husband?
Let's not. So anyway, that was the point there. You're going to go through life's transitions, be there to work through them together. Recognize that no one's going to stay the same. And what'd you say? No one's going to stay the same.
You can't marry somebody expecting them to change. You can't marry somebody expecting them to stay the same.
Exactly.
You got to be prepared for both. Because I guarantee you, man, as you age and get older, you are going to change. And you just have to, that's part of the joy of marriage. Mm-hmm. Because we've been together for 14 years, married for almost 11. You're a version of yourself, but you're not the same person I'm married.
Right.
And I'm not the same either.
I mean, that's the core of me.
The core. For sure.
But definitely, I know I'm definitely a different person.
Yeah.
I've grown.
Absolutely. All right. That about does it. Melissa's socials.
You can find me at Miss KevOnStage on Instagram, and you can find me on Facebook. And Miss KevOnStage on Twitter. I never tweet, so don't even bother.
KevOnStage, everywhere I go, everywhere I be. Twitter, Facebook, Instagram, Tumblr. But I don't be on Tumblr.
Oh, you got a Tumblr?
No.
I actually have a Tumblr. And,
You be looking at Nick Jonas?
Asked me last time I was on it.
Also, if you're interested in us coming to church, email me, KevOnStage@gmail or KevOnStage.com/booking. We'll see you next week.
All right.